like healthy.
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Cool.
It's like super high graphic. Oh, here's Dan.
Hello.
Hey Dan, how are you?
So sorry to keep you. I was trying to bite off more than I could chew.
All good, all good. We've got a few things to jump into, but we're just going to get a volume check. I'm not sure if we...
Hello. 1, 2, 3.
We got you.
Yeah, we got you.
Shit.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Dan, thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm feeling quite old. I'm glad the heat wave is over for the short term, although I'm never going to decry summer in this country. The kids are happy and healthy. Good. How are you guys?
Exactly.
I'd love to hear it. Dan, we've been just sort of going back and forth about a few things. It's so good that you can join us. Could you just give us an intro to who you are? What is SuperSeed? Give us the rundown.
Give us the rundown. Blimey, how far do you want to go back? Dinosaurs.
Let's go as far back as you want.
So ex-founder turned angel turned VC, set up SuperSeed in 2018. Met my now business partner Mads 2016-17, so about roughly 10 years-ish if you squint. And SuperSeed invests in technical founders, very technical teams in the kind of intersection, or where, if you like, where AI meets the real world, so physical AI. And we were doing this pre-ChatGPT and before AI was cool. And so obviously generative is the big new kid on the block, as in of November 22, everything is generative. Oh my God, ChatGPT. But we were always doing machine learning and AI and just really difficult to solve business problems. So 2 funds, one was our money, then the next was 50 million standard LPGP, and we're about halfway through an 80 million fund doing the same strategy. So very technical teams solving very difficult business problems.
Amazing. And you mentioned you're an ex-founder. It seems like pretty much everybody at SuperSeed, ex-operator, ex-founder. We were looking through some of the jobs that when you've been hiring for VC associates, and you look exclusively for ex-operators and ex-founders. Why is that?
I'm a big believer in, if you've been a founder, you make a better investor. If you've been an investor, you make a better founder. So having sat on both sides of the desk, the penny dropped very early for us. Like, oh my goodness, 90% of European firms, the investment team have never even worked in a startup. That's fine if you're Series A, Series B, Series whatever beyond, and you're looking at spreadsheets and data and numbers, and all you're doing is analysis and crunching. Great, come out of McKinsey, come out of Bain, come out of Goldman's, do whatever. But if you really want to work well with early stage teams, and from either nothing to something, or from something to product market fit and slightly beyond, if you're in that hyper messy stage, Europe needs more founder-focused firms, needs more founder-friendly, founder-centric. And I'm not talking about founder-friendly term sheets and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like people that understand the pushes and pulls and the ups and the downs and all of those. I cannot even understand how you can invest at the earliest stages without having that inside knowledge. It just seems nuts. And obviously the US is the flip. I mean, like 60 to 70% of early stage investors there are ex-founder operators. So it just feels like Europe is missing a trick. So that's why we look for it. So it doesn't need to be, Zuckerberg unicorn exiting founders, but you need to have done the hard yards. You need to have done something from nothing to something, operated, gone, oh my goodness, how do I make payroll? How do I build a product? How do I sell? You've got to have that mindset, otherwise you don't fit in the team.
Yeah. And how hands-on are you with your founders in those very early stages?
I hate that. I mean, I'm so conflicted when I answer this question. So the reality is, at the top level, if you look at the highest performers of anything in the world, sports people, authors, if you look at the highest performing in any sector, space, whatever, they all have support networks. They all have coaches, advisors, mentors, support mechanisms. However, you've got to tread this super fine line between when do you help, when do you get in the way, when do you get on the table, and when do you just let founders get on with it. And sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. I'd like to think hopefully most of the time we get it mostly right. But that's the line in the sand. I think you move better with the right people on the bus at the right time, whether that's hiring or selling or strategic thinking or how to fundraise the subsequent rounds, whatever it is. If you can do marginal gain stuff on a 10 o'clock on a Sunday night and get the right person in the room just to kind of keep the ship roughly pointed in the right direction, I think there is value in value add VC. But I'm slightly conflicted insofar as sometimes you just need to transfer the money and get the F out of the way. So there's two sides to the coin.
And how do you see that? Do you see that in different founders? Okay, this is how I play one founder and almost another. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a moving feast, isn't it? I mean, that we all have our own inherent skills. All of you will have things that you know you're good at, things that you know you're not so good at, and things that you just don't know. You don't know whether you're good at, or you don't know whether you're bad at. So we are a lens. We're a kind of a reflective mirror, if you like, to kind of reflect back the founder condition, and then also to introduce the right frameworks or processes or strategies or people or products or whatever it might be. And all founders are different, and all founders go through very different things personally and at work over time. So where you were strong, maybe you transitioning from founder to CEO, you're getting out of problem solution mode into product market fit. And that needs a whole new skill set, a different kind of coaching or support or mentorship or whatever it might be. So we are forever changing as founders. We're forever morphing and changing through the lifeline of the business. And so you need different people, things. So everybody's different. There is a lot of pattern matching, as I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys in this industry. But that's what you're always trying to keep an eye out for, is what do you need at a specific moment in time? And is it us or is it somebody else? And working out how to balance that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we wanted to ask about was, as you mentioned, that you were betting big on AI before everybody else was. You raised your second fund before, as you said, it was cool. How has the hype and the market, the kind of the explosion of AI, how has that changed the way that you look at investments, if at all?
The fundamentals are always the same, and the fundamentals have got nothing to do with the tech stack. I mean, I remember when blockchain was a thing, and oh my God, blockchain, whoa! And a minute ago it was something else, and a minute before that it was something else. Like, well, this is like us talking about HTML or CSS or SQL. It's like, I get it, but it's kind of irrelevant. What's relevant is how is the application of these technologies, regardless of what they are, going to change business or a consumer's life or whichever space you operate in. So AI is a massive game changer in two ways. One being, obviously, how we operate as a firm is going to be, and how VC as an industry is going to look in 5-10 years time will be massively different. And so it should be, because VC is a very broken, egocentric, nuts industry. So absolutely should change. And then the kinds of businesses that we invest in, and there's still lots to play for. The news cycle is absorbed with foundational stuff and ChatGPT, or what Jensen Huang's done with his latest chipset. Is he allowed to sell to China or not? So we're talking, the news cycle is very full of stuff that doesn't really touch business just yet. But we are now moving into the application layer. So we've kind of out of data, out of silicon, out of tooling, out of foundationals, and we're now layering in this application layer, which is going to be extremely interesting as how this all affects business and what happens to lawyers and what happens to doctors and what happens to teachers. So the application layer that comes in, I think, is going to be a really, really interesting story that will unfold, and that's happening now. And that we're only 2.5 years into generative AI, really in real money, and this year has been 25. I think has been slightly pivotal. As in, we're now starting to tip into the application layer, and then we're going to start to see how industries are impacted. And investing in those spaces, again, the fundamentals haven't changed, but it's going to be really interesting to see where it's absorbed, where it's not, where it's layered, where it's not. So we don't care sector-wise what we invest in, we just care that it moves the needle for productivity. Because productivity is efficiency, and that means that you can get more done with less. So that's what we invest in. So nothing and everything is the short answer to that question.
That's interesting. I mean, just talking about like hype cycles in general, not that this is a hype cycle, it's more of a reaction to the geopolitical state of the world, but defense tech, Dan, we listened to one of your podcasts the other day. You opened up a conversation saying, and this is a quote, "It appears that Europe has awoken from this slumber to the reality that the world is a dangerous place." Now, we've been talking about this sort of cultural shift. I know that like defense investing was almost a bit taboo in Europe the past few years, and it's only ever since sort of the Ukraine and Russia war that we've actually seen a lot more money being pumped into this. And I think something around now, it's a commitment of 4% of European countries' GDP is maybe going into defense spend. But can we talk about the cultural shift that we're seeing here, and the willingness to invest in these technologies?
Well, some investors can't, right? So some venture capitalists can't invest in kinetics, can't invest in bombs and missiles and defense. But what has happened is an awakening of, oh my goodness, we're on our own. Trump has given us permission to go on our own, and basically Trump has broken the world order and said, look, you guys are not paying your way. We are not going to come and rescue you. NATO is not fit for purpose, and so that has woken the European psyche to go, okay, all right, okay. Massively helping Germany, because what's happening behind the scenes is that all of their automotive plants that have been killed by China, by BYD and the automotive sector in China, are now turning to subs, boats, munitions, drones, whatever. So it's going to rescue Germany, is my take, which is great because we need Germany back in growth. But the broader answer to that question is that defense isn't just bombs and missiles and kinetics and destruction and death and disease. Defense is energy, it's infrastructure, it's automation, it's advanced manufacturing, it's all of the things that civilized society and what Europe is more comfortable being with. It's all of those really, really positive things around food security and different kinds of energy distribution and different transport links. So defense is not what we are banned from investing in, or some investors are banned from we're not, but some investors are. Defense is not that narrow bucket anymore. Defense is broader, and now you'll see the term resilience talked about much more than defense, which I think is fine. It's a little BS-y, but this, I think, will unlock Europe's financial future. And I feel quite passionately about this because defense is effectively sovereign capability. It's the capacity for a country to serve its people. So it's going to knock Europe into shape, and it's going to knock all of the countries within the EU and those of us that are sat outside of the EU into shape. So I think this is an incredibly positive thing from the resilience perspective. But the thought of investing in bombs and munitions and drones and killing people, I will not do that, even though I'm allowed to. And I fight with my team a lot about this. I'm a massive pacifist, but I also want a safe and secure way of life for my kids. And for as long as we have Putin's and Kim Jong-il's and who's the guy in Hungary? What's his name? As long as we got these right-wing effing maniacs, what are we going to do? You need to pony up. I need to suck it up and go, okay, the world is not perfect and it's a absolute mess, and we need to do whatever it takes to protect our way of life. But the positive story in that is that it's a much broader topic than killing people. This is all of the technologies that are going to solve a lot of societal problems are baked into that defense layer.
Just going off that then, so you're saying, obviously, yeah, defense isn't just one kind of thing. It's now broadened. And we were talking earlier about how marketing and defense and the line kind of blurring. A question for you would just be can a defense company have outstanding marketing as much as a B2C kind of company? What's your kind of take on that?
No, I mean, it depends. If it's proper defense, then I mean, if you look at, I don't know, Helsing as an example, who knows what Helsing is doing? They have great PR around they're raising shed tons of cash and high-profile investors like Daniel Ek from Spotify and others. But who knows? I mean, nobody knows what they're building, what they're doing, where they're going. There is almost no marketing. There's no public face. There's, it's a monolithic structure. So I think if you are in pure defence, you are not going to be playing those games beyond the magnitude of fundraising. But I don't know if is that answering your question. I don't know if there was something.
No, yeah, I think it's in part to a discussion we had earlier, but we saw the other day, I think one of the first times ever that Anne Schraders from Sifted I'm not sure if invited in, but eventually got in to have an inside look at Helsing. And obviously nothing was discussed in terms of what they're building or what the contracts look like. But there was a funny line from there when the article, she's saying that a journalist has been invited for breakfast to have coffee in a defence tech company, which is interesting. And it stems from, I think, mainly in the US, with Anduril, for example, is another thing that we discussed earlier, but their marketing budget is insane. They have a huge campaign around the US that's don't work at Anduril. And then the don't is graffiti. It's work at Anduril, and then it's don't graffitied on. And it was everywhere. And then they're releasing anime-style cartoon
But is that a recruitment? Was that to get high-quality people?
Exactly. The first one was a high-quality recruitment play. It went viral. Anduril became like the hardcore, when Musk took over X. Everyone wanted, like all the cracked engineers, as they say, wanted to get in there and they wanted to work under him, and they wanted to work 24 hours a day. Anduril, I think, have spun some sort of similar story. Now it's calmed down a bit, but they're releasing for their products, I guess we're going to call them. I think it was like a missile of sorts. It was an anime cartoon style launch video, and it was on Twitter, and everyone was like, "This is so cool." And it just reminded me of some of the stuff we see in B2C. Like a B2C company does an amazing high production cartoon style launch video, and it was the same, but it was for defense. It was for missiles. So this is the cultural shift that I'm finding interesting and that I'm following a little bit. It sounds like it's not the case in Europe from what you've seen, and I guess I've not seen any other examples in Europe either.
Well, Europe doesn't do much. I mean, Europe is only just waking now. I mean, if you look at Lockheed, BAE, if you look at a lot of the proper primes, they've never behaved like that. There aren't many of them. They are the stock standard. They are part of government. They are inside on the procurement lip. So they will never behave like that. But I think if you did have a recruitment push from a Helsing or from a Lockheed, you will probably get some very clever, we're here but we're not here, don't tell it. I don't know what the campaigns would be, but I get that. But that's not like, we're going to go and kill children and widows and orphans in Gaza. It's not when they're not going to be promoting the thing. They're going to be promoting come and work for the thing or another version. So I get the point solution of the marketing stuff, but I can't believe Europe will ever behave like that, number one, and B, I think it's a very, very heavy point solution rather than a more generic marketing play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Look, we're running out of time, Dan. There's lots of things that we wanted to talk to you about. EU Inc., Starling Bank. If you've got time, I'd love to ask about Starling. If you've got time, we watched. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. You were talking about the capital markets on Upside and how it was like the worst in, I think, over 25 or 30 years, like worse than the .com.
Years, yeah.
What did you make of the news that Starling Bank may end up IPOing in the US?
They have to. They have no choice. I think if you're looking at who are your stakeholders in that conversation, your shareholders, right? I mean, your investors, your future. How can you not follow the money? How can you not go? I think there are some examples where some industries are only known by their local market. They're very few and far between. So you will do a local listing wherever you are, Amsterdam, Paris, Berlin, London. But if you look at the H1 figures for listings in the UK, I think it was 160 million across 5 companies. It's almost like, listen, don't worry, lad. Don't go through the pain of listing and the expense of listing. I'll give you the money. It's almost not worth it. It's embarrassing. And then I think the US in the same time period did, was it 9 or 12 billion? It was 9 billion across 12 deals. We're not even in the same country, let alone postcode, let alone count. I can't even. We are so cosmically apart. So if I was, Sheen or Shein or whoever they are, they've gone back to Hong Kong. Who was going to list this year? There was a half a dozen or so potential listings that have all pulled and or moved to the States and or relisted in the States. And you have to. You have no, if you are going to, if you have a financial fiduciary investor, you have to do what's right for the company, what's right for your investors.
Yeah, of
and
course.
That at the moment is the US.
And do you think that it'll create good outcomes for these predominantly UK-based tech companies? People like Starling, Monzo, Oak North, they're all talking about looking at US IPOs, but they're all overwhelmingly British companies. Do you think?
But they're trying to go international, aren't they? So they're all trying to launch internationally, and they're all using the PR, because the one thing that's missing from LSE or anything to do with Europe is promotion and PR, and part of the story is encouraging the retail side of this narrative to look at London or Paris or Berlin or Amsterdam or wherever as a viable, I don't want to get too nationalistic about it, but there's an angle to say let's stop, whatever it was, pension funds used to have 50% of their AUM invested in UK something. So UK pension firms had roughly 50%, maybe 15 years ago, actually slightly longer, 20 years ago, in UK something. Publics, private, some kind of like local play. Now it's 5%. And most of their allocation goes to either US publics or US bonds or US something. So we need that. We need the PR side. We need deregulation. We need less red tape. We need the retail. So the two sides of the equation. We need the retail stuff to be positive and some kind of narrative that this is where you list, this is why, this is what we're going to do. Then we need the government to step in and remove some of the heavy regulatory burden. Then we need the stock exchange itself. And I know they're starting this. They need to free float. They need to deregulate. They need not deregulate. They need to just cut some of the structural nonsense that's required to list. And then we need pension funds and investors, the institutions, to start piling back in, because you need government support, you need institutional support, and then the private capital will flow. And then I guess the fourth vector there is getting foreign investment. We desperately need foreign investment. We need the London Stock Exchange to look like a lucrative, positive, energetic place to be. So we need that foreign capital to come in as well. So listen, I don't have any answers. Public markets are not my world, but unless we unlock publics, then private in this country is screwed.
Yeah. It's interesting. We've had so many guests on that we've discussed this for a while. It doesn't seem like it's stopping anytime soon, right? This is a recurring theme.
Well, it's getting worse. The momentum is heading in one direction.
It can't get any worse. You can't get any worse than H1 with 160 million. That's Murph a million. Yeah. You can't. We are bottom feeding. Worse than great financial crisis. Worse than .com. Worse. We've never seen anything like this. Yeah. So I think we are flatlined. The only way is up. Reeves is open, Starmer is open, LSE is open, Mansion House is encouraging, but it just, there's a political will and a drive that just doesn't seem to get past the narrative and get past the sound bites. So, and that's going to need some really brave and bold people, private, public, government, institutional, to go, F this, we're not having this anymore. And I think it can be turned around, and I don't think it will take massive amounts of time. We just need to look really attractive. We just need some sex. We need to be zhuzhed and sexed up by some, I don't know who the good PR people are these days, but some sexy PR team to come in and go, right, LSE and regulators and red tape people. Let's give this a positive spin and get out there, because that's what the Americans do so well. It's all sentiment, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you feel like the market's going to do something, you invest. If you feel like the market's not going to do something, you don't. So we need that energetic push at the very, very least, with all of the structural changes.
Yeah. Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Lovely to chat, gents.
Thanks, Dan.
Be well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Got to have you back.
See you soon.
Cheers, Dan.
Thanks.
All the best.
Bye.